Hey Patrick,
Hey Mark, happy birthday, my friend.
happy birthday.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
it's our 10th episode. Happy
Oh,
birthday.
okay.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you. Happy birthday.
Double digits, so it's the most important birthday probably. Next one
Yeah.
that's important is our 100th episode, so let's see
Yeah.
what
I
crypto
think
will
we
win
can
us
make it,
today.
Mark. I think we can make it.
Yeah, we can. We just need to be
Yeah.
diligent.
I'm pretty confident that we will do it. Yeah.
Uh,
How was your New Year's Eve?
yeah, it was a bit anticlimactic. I fell asleep and woke up a little bit too late for the
Mm.
toast, so yeah, it was not the best. But how was yours?
Yeah, mine was super relaxing. Time with the family. We ate good. We played. We had fun. We watched a really interesting movie. The movie is called Don't Look Up, and you did not watch it till now, right?
No, I still haven't watched it.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, interesting stuff. To say the least, I won't spoil you, but it's a different movie. It's not the usual one. It's yeah, I highly recommend it, and yeah, check it out.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure I'll check it out. Actually, I got two movie coupons today for my work, or not today, but this
Hmm,
week. So I definitely have enough opportunity to check it out.
yeah, cool. Yeah, it's the first episode of this year, and so it's also the first episode of this month.
Hmm.
So every single month we go to our own portfolio allocation to give our listeners a big picture overview. Yeah, so it's the 7th of January. Do you want to start to give a little bit of overview on how your position, on how your portfolio is positioned right now?
Yeah, sure, Patrick. So the December 31st, I took the opportunity to take a deep look at my portfolio again because for taxes, for the
Hmm.
Netherlands, it's important for the tax snapshot. So I have a pretty accurate picture of what my portfolio was back then. So I will give that picture and then tell you what has changed already in that time.
Yeah, sure.
At that time, my portfolio, my LV position in Illuvium was 54%. Bitcoin was 23%. I have GBTC, which is a stock version of Bitcoin, which is about 12%. ETH about 8%, and then just tiny things. My Solana position was 1%.
Mm.
Um, yeah, pretty much. The rest is just really tiny. And what has changed is that I I sent half of my Solana. I converted it to USDC and sent it to the Phantom chain because
Hmm.
I am started to yield farm there since the yields are a little bit higher there. So that has changed. Um, Another thing changed that right now I bought a little bit of Allbridge, which is like a bridge token. That is also the token I use, or the bridge that I use to go from Solana to Phantom. Yeah, so
Hmm.
I thought it is quite interesting. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I would like to give you a good anecdote, or at least a check, because for the taxes I was checking all my wallets really carefully by looking
Hmm.
at Etherscan and stuff and seeing all the tokens that are in Etherscan, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes in MetaMask it's hard to uh, to notice the tokens you have there. And I had more than one ETH laying around on a random Phantom wallet
What?
that I didn't. I had totally forgotten about it. So that was good. Good that I took a
Nice.
look. So that was yeah, that was really like I won the lottery on the day
Yeah,
for
awesome.
me. And also I had some tokens stuck in an SLP position on SushiSwap. So
Hmm.
but because you can't see the tokens, you only see the SLP, right? So
Hmm.
I went to SpookySwap to check what I had, and then I noticed, yeah, I put some two tokens together to see, just what it would do over a longer period because I was curious.
Hmm.
And yeah, and those tokens had also increased in price, and also they made
Nice.
about 12% APR during the time just from swapping fees. So
Hmm.
yeah, moral of the story is basically check your wallets pretty thoroughly. You never know what you may find there.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good tip for tax season.
Mhm.
Um, how is it in Netherlands? So I do get dropped a lot of shitty airdrops, like 150,000 of this, 130,000 of this, and it's just scam coins. Do you need to report on those as well? Do you even get those?
Um, yeah, basically, you just have to report your lump sum crypto allocation. it just asks you like what other assets do you have basically, and then you pay a certain percentage over your total assets. So
Mm,
it doesn't matter if it's some shady Doge Elon airdrop or something, or
mm,
if you have like 100% BTC, you pay the same taxes and it's all considered the same crypto allocation.
mm, okay.
Uh,
Um,
how did your portfolio change?
um, I was wondering, you said that this was a snapshot of the 31st, and you said
Yeah,
there are some changes, some more changes, or is
well,
it just
just the ones I
the
mentioned. Like I went to Phantom,
okay?
and yeah, for me that's a relatively big change because that's something
Mm,
I'm looking at day to day. Like I'm
mm,
YouTubing every day. So even though actually my percentage of my portfolio is really small, in my
mm,
mind it takes a much bigger percentage of my mind
yeah,
basically. But yeah, for the rest, I've already mentioned everything.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I was wondering because I between the 31st of December and now, the market has retracted a little bit. So I was wondering how your Illuvium position looks right now in comparison to your Bitcoin position, because for me it's the main change. So as a quick reminder, at the beginning of December, I was 70% ETH and 23% BTC, 5% Solana, and then 5% the rest. And right now I'm 62% ETH and 28% BTC. So my um, ETH position basically dropped and it converted into BTC because BTC outperformed ETH a little bit during this time. And this is my main difference. I did not buy anything new. I think a lot about how to position myself for 2022, but for now it's just a normal fluctuation. So yeah, a little bit less ETH, a little bit more BTC, and yeah, just due to the price fluctuations. No changes in absolute terms like yeah, the amount of ETH I hold or the amount of BTC I hold. It's just those normal fluctuations. And then 5% in smaller coins, like the random stuff, not worth mentioning right now.
Okay, that's a surprise to me. I didn't know that ETH underperformed BTC so much.
Yeah, over the last couple of days, quite harsh. It 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 broke the 0.08 barrier and then it dropped to 0.07 whatever. So yeah, quite a little bit of retracement.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, so for me, probably my ILV dropped significantly because there was a
Mm,
hack as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if my percentage has dropped from like 54 to maybe 45.
mm,
So that's probably has happened.
yeah. Okay, perfect. Do you want to transition to remarkable things that happened last week?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
I'll start. In general, I would like to say that last week, in terms of content and articles that came out, I thought it was one of the best weeks I can ever
Mm.
remember in crypto.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe it's partially, of course, because people are putting up their thesis for this year, and also
Mm,
they're talking about their performances, and so it is in general like a big picture kind of week. But yeah, it was really a pleasure. There were so many
mm,
interesting articles. I've only listed a couple because otherwise we could fill like four podcasts basically with just
yeah.
interesting things that happened. Um, yeah, I'll just give you a couple of touch points that thought was interesting.
Hmm.
Um, One of them is an article about Darren Love. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's
Who is he?
like a pretty famous person in DeFi. I think he's from Singapore, and yeah, he's just also a VC, but
Hmm.
he also writes books, and yeah, basically he has a lot of thoughts. He's a pretty big account, and he made a Twitter thread about his mistakes that he made last year,
Hmm.
and
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it was really interesting. And sometimes you put people on a pedestal, right? Like I put
Mm.
him on a pedestal, but then when you read the changes, you realize that we're all human in some ways.
Mm.
So yeah, and
In some ways,
in
yeah.
some ways he made some mistakes that even I didn't make. So is probably saying something.
Mm.
So I will link you that, but that also got me thinking to what mistakes did you make last year that you feel like yeah that you are still thinking about?
What mistakes did I make last year?
Yeah.
I think that my main mistake, but it may be recency bias. I wouldn't call it a mistake, but it got me thinking. So I was a little bit too emotional when things went well. So and I wasn't reflecting on why things went well. So let's take as an example the run-ups at the beginning of 2021 and at the end. And both times there were no real fundamental changes. The first one was okay, Tesla's here. Let's go to all-time high basically. But does this change anything? I don't know. And then the Coinbase listing, does this change anything? I don't know. And then at the end of the year, the Bitcoin futures ETF, does this change anything? Nah, not quite sure. So my main, I wouldn't call it mistake because my time horizon is until the end of 2026 for now. So my main thing I'm thinking about is what about taking profits along the way? Not trying to be perfect, not trying to sell the top when everything is euphoric and buy back in when everything is bearish, but a little bit more nuanced, I guess. A little bit okay, a little bit of selling right here, a little bit of buying right there, and this would give me into a position where it's quite easy to make those big swing trades because right now I think right now is a good time to buy a little bit. And when we were at 69K back at the all-time high, I think it was quite good to sell a little bit, but yeah, I wouldn't call it a mistake. It's just a reflection because my time horizon is multiple years, and this is the main thing I'm thinking about. I don't think so much about the things I missed because yeah, I miss every single day so much. But this is the main thing where I think that yeah, I might need to reflect on it a little bit more. Yeah, can I push the question back to you? What were your biggest mistakes or learnings?
Um, yeah, one of my biggest mistakes was being too conservative with my Bitcoin allocation. So yeah, I have a certain allocation that I just I didn't touch during the year
Mm,
because I treat it more like gold, but and also because I thought the risk of the crypto risk would be too high basically. But now yeah, I'm starting to think um, some of the concerns that I had they haven't come to fruition. So
mm,
I'm probably gonna reduce my Bitcoin allocation a little bit to gain more, higher APR. So that was one mistake. And another mistake is mainly um, my failure to research certain things that I was on early. So I was on early, for instance, to own, which it did like many,
mm,
many, many X.
mm,
I was early to spell, and I didn't invest in it at all. I was
mm,
early to time, so basically, I was early to a lot of interesting protocols, at least in
mm,
terms of early that I knew about it. I was in the Discord, but I never took the time to do more research before I took an investment, So in
mm,
the end, I kept delaying it and delaying it. And another one was also DeFi Kingdoms. I also learned about that one way before Taiki, for instance,
mm,
but I never took the chance to read more about it and invest in it. So
mm,
yeah, this one I'm still struggling with, to be honest. It's really difficult because there's so many interesting
mm,
things in crypto, but I would say that's probably my main mistake. Um, yeah, and then with regards to Illuvium, um, yeah, I can't really say if there's a mistake or not because my thesis hasn't been disproven yet, So I just have to wait and
mm,
keep updating my thesis until it has been disproven. And if so far it hasn't been disproven whatsoever, so I can't tell yet if that's a mistake or not.
mm, mm. It's super interesting. Can I ask a follow-up question to one thing you said?
Yeah, sure.
The fact that you found some interesting things early, but you did not pull the trigger. Do you think it's a good idea to tackle it with doing even more research, or do you also think it could be a good idea to invest a tiny little bit so you do have exposure, and while you have exposure, you do your research, and if your conviction grows, you increase the allocation, but at least you do have some allocation. What do you think about those two approaches?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Um, yeah, personally, I always like having a couple of concentrated bets instead of a lot of little tokens, token allocations. Yeah, it is interesting what you're saying though. Um, but then let's say you go with the fact that you have that you see something interesting, but you don't have time to research it yet, and then you buy it already just to make sure that you research it later. I'm
Mm,
I'm not sure the fact that I have a small allocation to X means that I will necessarily research X, right? So I don't think this is enough of a lure to get me to research it. I do think, of course, you probably gain in the tremendous price appreciation if it's something if it's really interesting. But it could also be that it's a total flop. You think it's interesting and it turns out to be a total flop, and
Yeah,
then
but at least you have some exposure at least, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
so yeah, I can definitely see how it is beneficial. It is just not my style, but maybe yeah, I think it could be beneficial. And with regards to research, there's this trade-off in computer science between exploration and going deep into something. And it's one of the most difficult trade-offs there is, I think, just in life. And this also applies to crypto. So, for instance, it could be that I'm exploring too much and diving deep. I'm not diving deep enough into a lot of things and spending too much of my time on the exploration part rather than the deep dive part. It could be that I need to recalibrate it a little bit to dive deep into more things and explore less things. But then, of course, you can also come across less things. So it's a really tricky balance.
I understand, yeah.
Um, And okay, so to get back to our things of remarkable things that happened this week, I will mention one more thing, and it was a thread from Kyle Samani, who is the yeah, he's the head of multi-chain capital, I believe, and he had a thread about this year, and what he mentioned is that I will just paraphrase it a little bit. So he mentioned that a lot of big companies like PayPal, Stripe, Square, TikTok, um, they are all getting into NFTs or into crypto. And what he is saying that in 2022, like they will really get big into crypto, and the companies are going to leverage various public chains to power large parts of their businesses. And then the kicker, the chains that are not selected will quickly fade into irrelevance after 2022. I thought that was a really interesting takeaway because, for instance, TikTok, they're going to do NFTs for their creators, right? So whatever chain TikTok chooses, it will have so much traction, I think so much capital will go to that chain. They are really kingmakers for the L1s or L2s in this year. So I thought it was a really interesting thought.
Yeah, interesting. He's the VC guy, right? So yeah, he thinks like a VC, and he most likely thinks, okay, what if one of the behemoths adopts something, and this is the kingmaker or whatever? Yeah, it makes kind of sense, but I kind of hope that's not how it works out. I hope that they will adopt more like the open ones, right? And not the next flow blockchain which they build on their own and it's private and stuff like this. So yeah, I hope it does not play out like this, but it might. How do you think about it?
Well, the way Kyle phrases it, and also he also discussed it in the podcast, he doesn't necessarily say that they will do a flow kind of blockchain. They could just also go to ETH or Solana or whatever. So he's just thinking in general, whatever it may be, and it may very well be a public blockchain. At least for some of them, it will probably be a public blockchain. That blockchain will really do really well. So yeah, I think it bodes actually really well for the L1s and L2s that we have in mind. But yeah, we have to keep in mind that once they make a decision, it could be a tremendous boost for whatever chain that is. So it's
Yeah,
just
for
good
sure.
to keep in mind. Do you have anything remarkable that you came across this week?
Yeah, I have two small ones and a little bit of one bigger one.
Sure.
The first one is that I'm really deep into the Solana ecosystem right now, and there is this hackathon going on right now from Serum and Wormhole, and it's called Convergence. Did you hear about it?
Um, well, I knew that they were doing it,
Mhm.
but I haven't checked many of the videos or something.
Yeah, just as a quick recommendation, if you want to know what's going on there. So Wormhole is basically a messaging app, a messaging provider, where they basically transition funds from different chains, and so Convergence and Wormhole and Serum, it's basically yeah, how to go more on the multi-chain stuff. So they have quite a lot of interviews on their YouTube, so you might want to check them out. It's quite interesting, but some of them are quite boring. There was this one episode with SBF, so Sam Bankman-Fried. I listened to it yesterday evening.
Oh wow.
It was quite interesting. He gave a 25-minute keynote, so to speak, of the DeFi trends in 2022. Yeah, you might want to listen to it, but
Yeah.
we're running a little bit late on time, so I won't go into it right now. I will just spoil it. And the next topic is I would like to expand on this a little bit for maybe 5 minutes or so, if it's okay for you.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I heard this really, 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 really great episode from Vitalik Buterin and the Bankless guys, and it was about the ETH 2.0 roadmap. And I'm a big fan of Vitalik. It's one of my hopes that I can meet him one day just to see if he's really that skinny and really that awkward and really that weird. No, I'm just kidding. I think he's an awesome guy, and I think he's super knowledgeable. And he talked about the ETH 2.0 roadmap on the Bankless podcast. And there was this funny nuance in there, and also a little bit of educational stuff. And I would like to ask you a question for the funny stuff, and then I will give you and our listeners a really quick rundown about the ETH 2.0 roadmap, because I think it's important to understand, even for you with your 8% allocation. The funny question is this. So Vitalik, he spent quite a lot of time in Argentina last year, and he was walking around and buying stuff, selling stuff, and stuff like this. And he noticed that they use an alternative layer one, and it's pretty interesting. Do you want to take a guess on which alternative layer one is mostly established in Argentina?
Can I ask for one hint? Is it EVM compatible?
Nope.
Okay, then I would say Lightning maybe.
Nope.
Yeah, okay. I probably don't know. It's the XE one, some XE
Nope.
utility. Okay, no. What is it?
Yeah, it's I did not so I couldn't answer it on my own. I was thinking about it as well. So it's actually the Binance exchange. So it's not even the Binance Smart Chain. It's not even the whatever chains they have. They have multiple chains, the Binance Smart Chain and the other one from Binance, which is a little bit older. But it's actually the centralized database of Binance, because the stores over there, they have accounts on there, and if you pay via your QR code, for example, it checks if you have some balance on your Binance account, and they are basically transitioning money from Binance within Binance, because Binance knows that the money is there. So they
Wow.
have this weird use case. I never heard about it, but Sam Bankman-Fried said something similar to FTX, that they want to push more to this direction. It's I don't like it, but it's really interesting that they get this adoption, and maybe that's one of the reasons why the BNB token is worth so much, because it has this much usage outside of the realms we usually see. So I thought this was quite interesting. And yeah, then about the ETH 2.0 roadmap, let me give you a really quick rundown. Maybe you can sit back for a minute or two, and I will give you the real quick rundown, because I think it was really, really awesome. And it's so funny to see how this smart guy Vitalik is putting it into memes, and how Ryan and David from Bankless are summarizing it, and so the TLDR, the gist gets to the retail guys like us, and it's super funny and really educational. There are mainly 5 phases, and they named it like this. At first, the merge. At second, the verge. At third, the oh no, sorry. First the
Splurge or
merge.
something?
Yeah, sorry. First merge, then surge, then verge, then purge, and then splurge. And I will give you a real brief rundown. Otherwise, I would highly recommend that you listen to the episode. It's almost 2.5 hours, but I think this is the roadmap for the next 5 to 10 years of Ethereum right now. And if they can proceed on this roadmap, man, things will get really juicy. I love it. I like it. Not just because my ETH backs are so big, because I'm a technical guy. I do have a bachelor's and master's degree in electrical engineering, so I enjoy the technical ones, and this makes total sense for me what they do. And I enjoy it. Hearing it articulated it as well. But let's give you a real brief rundown. So the merge is basically the first thing, and this is the full transition from proof of work to proof of stake. After this comes the surge, and the surge is basically sharding. So sharding brings the first time more scalability to the rollups, especially for the Ethereum network. After this comes the Verge, and the Verge is super interesting. It's basically a transition from Merkle trees to Verkle trees, and this brings statelessness. And statelessness is basically, so Ethereum has the burden right now that the state is stored on the chain, and the state is basically everything that happens, all accounts, the history, and stuff like this. And if you manage to build a stateless ecosystem, this means where does the state get stored? And it's not quite sure for now, but for sure is that they have ideas and concepts on how to make this whole statelessness. So this means that block validators, they don't have to store the whole chain, so this makes it even more decentralized. After this comes the purge, and the purge is that they want to eliminate some of the dead weight of history. So you don't need to store the whole basically ledger on the database or on your node. They make it so that the blockchain is less big. This is quite good for decentralization as well. And the last one is the splurge, and this is basically a bucket of really important stuff, but not that urgent stuff, which makes the user experience a little bit more friendly, for example. So social recovery wallets, for example, or MEV mitigation and stuff like this. But for now, I would like to leave you and the listeners with a highly recommendation to listen to the episode to get a better understanding about the ETH roadmap. At first, the merge, which won't change a lot in regards to scalability. It makes the ETH more deflationary, so the ETH price might go up a little bit more. After this comes the surge, and the surge is the scalability. And then we go into the awesome stuff which makes Ethereum more and more decentralized over the longer period of time. Yeah, I thought it was super interesting. Do you have any comment on this? Anything?
I've heard of this meme before. I think Vitalik tweeted about it a long time ago, like maybe a month ago or something, or 2 months. So the merge is coming this year, right?
Yeah, hopefully. I hope so.
And then probably Q2 or Q3, right?
Yeah, I have no idea. No one has any idea, but I think Q2, Q3 could the merge basically happen. Yeah.
Okay, and what do you think as an average DeFi user? What will you notice about it from your user experience? Do you notice anything?
I think you will notice that the gas prices will go up even more because ETH gets deflationary, and this means price go up. So ETH will have an issuance reductions by almost 90%. So ETH will be deflationary at 10 Gwei. Right now it's deflationary at 100 Gwei. So I think it will get worse. People will use Ethereum a little bit less, the retail ones. And yes, but this has upsides for the bigger ecosystem. Because ETH, the main layer, is not meant to be used by you and me. It's meant to be used for rollups and 7 or 8 figure things. It's not. It has grown out of the retail usage.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious to see how it will do. I'm wondering if it will be, a buy the rumor, sell the fact or something, or sell the news. But yeah, we'll see about it. Yeah, but definitely, Vitalik is just really a pretty interesting guy in general. So
awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, do you want to transition to the things that excite us?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to start?
Sure, I'll start. Since I want to speed it up a little bit, I have one point, and that is that there's this fund called Electric Capital, and every year they check GitHub and stuff to see how many programmers there are working in crypto and in DeFi, and they have a whole report about it, and they also check it on a lot of chains, for instance. So
awesome.
So I will link, of course, the article in the show notes and also their paper. And I will give just one excerpt that caught my eye. And they mentioned that 2,500 plus developers are working on DeFi projects, and less than 1,000 full-time developers are responsible for over 100 billion TVL in smart contracts. So it's a little bit scary, but also very promising.
Yeah.
So for the audience, if you look to do something, become a DeFi developer because the future is looking pretty bright for people who have those skills.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Sorry, just a quick note. I was just googling out of curiosity how many developers are working at Facebook. And in 2017, it was 250. So 5 years ago almost, there was 250. So yeah, we are still early, I guess.
But now there's I would say more like 25,000 at
Yeah,
Facebook. So
yeah,
um,
exactly. So this is what I mean. So they are working most likely far more developers at Facebook than they work on this stuff. And yeah,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's just very
yeah,
interesting.
really interesting. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. What excites you, Patrick?
I have multiple things that excite me actually, and I'm most excited for this year because I think it's a really 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 cool year ahead of us. I think about it obviously from my personal point of view, from my family point of view, but I will keep it to crypto for now, and I'm super pumped for three things this year. So the first one is the investing thing. I think this year could get interesting, but I positioned my mindset in a way that this year there won't be something super crazy, but it will be a good year, price-wise, adoption-wise, and stuff like this. So I'm super optimistic for this year. Obviously, there may be some bumps in the road, but generally, I'm looking forward to this year. This makes me super exciting, super excited. What also makes me excited about this year that yeah, we are building something great, right? We are building this podcast, we're building this community. We have different things in mind that we will launch this year. So this makes me super excited. And also, I'm super excited about the how to Solana yield farming from scratch course. It brings me a lot of joy, and I learned so much about yield farming. And I think I'm excited to learn even more about yield farming, how to do it in a right way, so to speak, and how to make money with it, how to make it a little bit more yeah, facts based and not like, okay, this could be the next coin I buy, I hold, and stuff like this. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. And yeah, then I'm also really excited about how do I position myself for 2022. It may be a little bit of a bigger discussion, and just to give a really small teaser. So I do have mainly three big allocations right now. It's in my personal portfolio. It's BTC, ETH, and Solana. But ETH is the biggest one, and then BTC. And I'm thinking about reducing my BTC allocation by 5% or so, and invest into 20 different other coins. They are alternative layer ones. They are crypto gaming stuff. There are some stable coins in there as well. So this is exciting for me because yeah, I never done such a reallocation since I entered crypto 4 years ago. So this is exciting, but there is not much I can share right now. I do have some thoughts, and I do have a list of about 20 coins I'm thinking about right now, but I don't feel comfortable right now to pull the trigger because yeah, markets are quite volatile, and I would like to wait a little bit and see how this all works out. Because if the markets go down, yeah, then I like my BTC position because BTC will go down the least. But if I see some kind of positive momentum, even a little bit, and let's say BTC goes up to, I have no idea, 50K or so, and there is some hopium in there, I might reallocate my funds rather quickly and trim down my BTC position a little bit. And yeah, this gets me really exciting. And yeah, do you have a comment on this? Besides, do you have, do you want to comment on this? Otherwise, I have one question for you.
No, I think in this sense we have relatively similar views. Um, I'm pretty curious to see what your final allocation will be of the 20 tokens that you will decide to invest instead of BTC.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think it's a good choice.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think the timing is quite good as well. Let's see how the next few weeks will play out. Yeah, then my question is basically the following. So I do know that you are around on Twitter quite a lot, and I do know that you follow also some guys who have a more like a macro view. And I'm wondering, do you follow some macro thinkers, so macro economy thinkers on YouTube and Twitter? And what do they think about the outlook for 2022? And what do you think? So my question is basically, yeah, what about the macro for 2022? What do you think about it?
Do you mean like traditional macro or like outside of crypto, or do you just mean people who think in general in macro terms?
No, outside of crypto.
Outside of crypto, yeah. So
Yeah.
I stopped following a lot of finance Twitter people. So I have very few few macro thoughts in that regard. So
Hmm.
the only person I still follow, I think, within finance is Raoul Pal that has about his macro views. So yeah, of course he's very very bullish for ETH and just for this year and for crypto in general. And to be honest, outside of him, I, I don't recall any person
Mm.
out, that I'm just following mainly crypto people because yeah, it's high EV to follow crypto people, and I can only follow
Mm.
so many. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't follow as many crypto people, macro people as I'd like to.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that's pretty much
Do
it.
you do you know why he's bullish macro 2022 for crypto? Because I remember the last time you said something like he's a little bit more bearish. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's due to the CPI.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
is is he still bullish?
yeah. But you have to make a distinction between you know secular bullish or bearish, or just within the cycle. So I think he is around Paul is short-term bearish, but secular bullish. So he can be bearish for like 3 months, 6 months probably. But I think for if you look at 1 year period or even more, I think he's very bullish.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I would like to hear a little bit more about his outlook for 2022. There is just one thing I don't like about Royal Paul over the last couple of months, and I don't know how to resolve this issue because I think every single person out there has it basically, and he's obviously having a really big back bias. He has basically everything he of his investments in crypto. So obviously he talks about crypto good because he wants to see his back go up, and then he's also leveraged long crypto basically because his business is focusing more and more about crypto. So he has basically no upside of talking bad about crypto. And I'm wondering what other people who don't have this back bias how they think about 2022. I just know how Julian thinks about it, and he
Hmm.
thinks about it quite different, but I don't know what to make of it. I just ask myself a question, okay, Patrick, what do you think? And then I think I'm still bullish, so I do want to live an optimistic way of life. So I think, okay, things will work out fine, and I have no idea how this year will work out. But yeah, it's just a question in my mind. I don't know how to tackle it. Even this might be a question which is good not to answer for ourselves because there is no right or wrong answer. Yeah, how do you yeah handle this question? What's the outlook for 2022? Do you follow Raul and think he's right, or how do you form your own opinion?
Um, yeah, of course he is biased, and in several ways because his business is also more into crypto right now. But I think his business is more into crypto because he's bullish crypto and not the other way around. So I don't think it was like he first got a lot of BTC and ETH and then he pivoted his business to crypto. He was first very crypto bullish crypto, and then he
Mm,
bought BTC and ETH. So even though everyone has this bias, I don't think there's anything malicious about his bullishness, or yeah, I don't think he cares too much about that. Um,
mm,
and then with regards to other thinkers, I mean, if you were to ask me, like, follow one more person on macro, in
mm,
my Twitter, then I would probably follow Jawad Jasmian. I think he's a
mm-hmm,
really thoughtful investor from. I think he's from Qatar.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, yes, but he's interested both in macro, but also just not just in crypto, right? So he's just general macro, but he includes crypto in his portfolio. So I think he is a very original thinker that I would then follow. But right now, I don't have the desire to follow more macro people because
mm,
it makes sense to be very bullish crypto. I mean,
yeah.
it is there's so much money entering in it. There's so much talent entering in it. There's so
Mm,
much things going on. Like it's the most dynamic industry in the world. So why wouldn't you be
mm,
bullish? Of course, there can be a bear market, but yeah,
mm,
I mean, yeah, it's like
mm,
being bearish on the steam engine. When we were using horses. Like, yeah, how,
yeah.
how can you be bearish on something that's fundamentally so incredibly
Mm.
important? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to go ahead, please.
No, no, sorry. That was my that was the gist of my thought, basically. So yeah, I'm totally not concerned whatsoever, and this week
Mm.
made zero difference in my
No.
resolve. So
I think that's the take home message. I think that's the really take home message. Um, Take a look at the time horizon, and your time horizon is multiple years, I guess, right? Not multiple months or multiple weeks, or multiple years. Mine is also multiple years. Mine is specifically for now till the end of 2026. I do have a picture in my mind how the world should be, could be, how I would like it to be from a personal point of view, also from crypto point of view. And I'm working on expanding my time horizon even more and more and more. But it's really tough. You can basically pull numbers out of your ass and say, okay, this is how I envision it in 10 years. But then you have no conviction. And I think you can work on expanding your time horizon more and more and more. It's just a skill that you have to develop add a week here, add a week there. So yeah, I think you gave good advice. You gave a good opinion, and thanks for sharing it. I may need to reallocate my outlook for the macro also, not just for 2022. I may need to adjust it for 2026 as well, and then obviously for my own judgment, US dollar go down, crypto go up, technical adoption, stuff like this, right? And Ethereum number one.
Yeah, I agree with most of those things except for the last thing, but we'll see how that plays out.
Man, one day we need to have the following episode. You need to try as hard as you can to FUD my ETH bags, and I need to do as much as I can to FUD your Illuvium bags. As hard as I can, and you as hard as you can. And let's just see where this leads us. I think this would be interesting, actually, really interesting.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, dokie. Do you want to transition to the last part, our Solana portfolio challenge?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Do you want to start? Do you want to start to give a real quick recap where we were last week and where are we now?
Sure. So, as the listeners may have known, this wasn't the best week for crypto. So last week my dollar value was $908, and this week it's $854, and I dropped around 6% in total portfolio allocation in dollars. However, Solana dropped by about 14 almost. So my Solana value increased from 5.2 to 5.57. So I think that's my biggest increase so far, and
Yeah, it's massive.
that's simply by holding stablecoins, because the yield was actually extremely poor. This is probably my poorest week in terms of yield, but holding stables in a bear market is good. That's the
Yeah.
definition basically. So I did all right, but I'm still not super happy with it though.
Hmm.
It happens. Like I still wouldn't have expected to be underwater in dollars.
Hmm.
10 podcasts later, that's just quite poor in my view.
Nah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I disagree because when we started, Solana was at $216 roughly, and the meantime it was at 230, and now we are, I don't know, 140, 150 or so. I did not check this morning. So yeah, I would be super freaking surprised if you were up on your US dollar value. I think you're doing an awesome job because you increased your Solana value by almost 10% by now, more than 10%. So I think you do an awesome job. It's just the challenge that imagine Solana price goes up and you do sit in your USDC. Yeah, then you will obviously underperform. But yeah, I think that's a different topic. How do you farm right now? Do you do anything special that's valuable for listeners to hear?
Well, the farms are extremely poor at the moment in Solana. So what I'm doing right now is the same thing I did last week. I put my USDC and Solana on Aprico and on Larix, and then what I do is I borrow tokens against them, and with those tokens I put them in Solyard, which is a really degen protocol. I wouldn't recommend it, but so
How
Solyard
much
has,
PVL do they have?
I don't know, it's tiny. I think you mentioned 300K last time, right?
Yeah,
So it
that's what I'm
is
asking.
tiny amount. So beware basically. So they have a couple of Radium pools and they have a deal with Radium. So they have pretty good APRs right now. I mean, around 150%. But so I'm using those right now. And I'm in different pools like Radium Serum, Radium USDT, Radium USDC, Radium Solana, Radium ETH. I'm in these kind of pools. But yeah, the yield is really poor. So it's pretty likely that next week you won't find me on Solana anymore. But we'll see about that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah,
Cool.
really interesting.
What about you, Patrick?
Yeah, I managed to outperform you. by losing even more. So my net worth for the challenge dropped from roughly 800 to roughly 700. So I lost roughly $100 this week. And you mentioned that Solana dropped by roughly 14%. So yeah, take a guess on how much I lost this week. Roughly 14% in US dollar value.
Yeah.
But on the upside, I managed to increase my Solana allocation from 4.6 to 4.61. So yeah,
Okay. Wow.
quite a
Yeah.
successful
For
yield time, I
Solana.
guess.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm really impressed with myself. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's due to the fact that I have some things in there which are not just pure Solana. So I can give you a quick rundown of what I do right now.
Hmm.
I do hold mostly no Solana right now in my wallet. It's just everything put into active things. I do use three protocols who offer their services in regards to selling options, and I think it's just selling options, not buying options. I think there are votes for selling put options and stuff like this. They are called Friction, Chest, and Katana. So I do have my ETH, BTC, and Solana in there. They offer different vaults, and why do I use different platforms, and why do I use different vaults within their um, dApp? Do you want to take a guess why I do this?
Well, I would say it has to do with airdrops.
Yeah, you're right. I'm pretty convinced that some of them might do an airdrop. So I think the strategy in it of itself, it might be not the highest from a short-term ROI perspective. I do get roughly 40% on Sol, and this is really impressive. But yeah, I could go more degen and put some of my funds into more degen stuff, but I won't do it for now. But I think from an EV point of view, so expected value, if you take into consideration the APY I'm getting and also the um, expectancy of a potential airdrop, it could be an even higher EV play than just yield farming. It's just, yeah, for the short term, week to week, it's not that big of a boost. But maybe one day there will be an airdrop and then suddenly, boom, I'm at a 9 Sol or whatever. And I could also get rugged and then, boom, I'm at a 2 Sol or whatever. But yeah, this is the reason why I do it for now. And on that note, I would like to give a really quick thing I have in my mind about airdrop hunting. And I'm pretty sure that I talked about it the last time a little bit, but let me reiterate it. I'm not that convinced right now that airdrop hunting is a valid strategy going forward, especially on Solana. And here's the reason why. Um, Psi options, for example. Psi options, they are a new protocol and they have Alameda Research as one of the investors. And you could say, oh, nice, awesome, Psi options, new protocol, cool guys, they don't have a token, and they do have Alameda as an investor. But if you dig a little bit more into it, you will find out that basically, and almost all in quotes protocols where Alameda Research is an investor, they don't launch their own token by airdrop. They do it like an IEO, an ICO, an IDO. So yeah, more like the yeah, please pay for it and you don't get anything for free type of style. And then I did receive a couple of airdrops over the last couple of months on Solana, and it was so negligible. Like they unfortunately put thought into how to distribute the airdrop. I was providing quite huge amount of money on Apricot, for example, because Apricot mentioned in their documents that they will launch a token one day, and I put quite a huge sum of money in there. But at the end, I received like $10 or so of an airdrop. It was just like totally not worth it because if I take my allocation into comparison what other people provided to Apricot and I did a pro rata distribution of their airdrop, it was just like totally negligible. So for now, I'm not that convinced that the strategy is super legit. I will wait for a couple more data points, and if the next 2 to 3 airdrops will go down this route as well, like really small allocations, I might go down the more road that I don't take that much care of airdrop hunting. I will prioritize more the APY, not the expected value in and of itself in comparison with airdrop. So this is a thought I have in my mind right now. So I would say don't follow me on this strategy if you are not fine with the scenario that you could get an airdrop, but it's worth like yeah a lollipop or something along those lines. It's just not worth it. But for now, I do have hopes that it will be worth it, and then yeah it might be a little bit of a boost for my allocation. Yeah, could you follow this thought, or was it too difficult to explain?
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it is interesting to me that you mentioned Alameda protocols rarely do airdrops because
Mm,
Alameda is invested in a lot of things on Solana. I would say almost all of the things. So
mm,
yeah, I'm actually surprised by this finding. But you
yeah.
probably did your research on it, so I trust
Mm,
you with regards to airdrops, and also with regards to Friction and Katana, and to a lesser extent, what is the other one with the T? Tap Finance, right?
yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, I think it's pretty likely that they will do airdrops though. So
Mm,
I think your strategy will pay out in this. You just
mm.
need to have a bit more patience and maybe change your your strategy to a different leverage or something like leverage short or I don't know what kind of synthetic things they have. I mean, Friction has synthetic puts, right? By USDC, we just USDC puts, for instance.
Mm,
So consider swapping to those, and then yeah,
mm.
I think it's very likely that you will get airdrops for these three. So we'll see about it.
Yeah, I hope so as well. But as a counter argument, and then maybe we can wrap it up. Let's imagine Tap Finance does an airdrop, right?
Hmm.
How big do you think might um what is it called, the market cap of Tap Finance might be?
Oh man, that's so hard to answer. I have no, yeah, I have a really hard time answering that. I would say maybe I would rather have an answer how big do you think
Mm.
the airdrop will be rather than how big do you think the market cap will be. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I was trying to lead you to this question of how much how big the airdrop would be, and I will give you the TLDR of my thinking. So if you take a look at how many Discord members Tap Finance has, it has a couple of hundred, right? Hundred,
oh, okay,
not thousand, not 10,000.
wow,
Those are tiny little bitty little bitsy bits communities. And if you take this into consideration, how much traction they have, how much TVL they have, the TVL is sometimes below a million mark, below a million, right? And if they have the TVL below a million, you can imagine that the market cap might come out at 5 to 10 million or so. And then if you take into consideration, okay, they do an airdrop of, let's say, 1% of the tokens, and then you have 1% of 5 million, that's 50K, right?
hmm,
And if you divide this 50K by, let's say, 1,000 users, yeah, you get $500. And if you then take into consideration the pro rata argument, you might be small fish, you get $20 or so. So this is the struggle I'm seeing right now. If you take this from a facts-based point of view and not from a, okay, hopium, airdrop equals a big airdrop, I think, yeah, this is a counter argument to airdrops right now because it does not make sense for a new protocol which has $1 million under TVL to be worth like a billion. DYDX was a little bit different because they had an awesome product, they had a lot of TVL, and then it makes sense to have a big airdrop. But for those small protocols with a couple of hundred of Discord members, I don't just see how this could be a big airdrop. I just don't see it. I just don't know any reason. So this is a counter argument to my strategy, basically. If I want to fund my own strategy.
okay, yeah, fair point, Patrick, fair point. I didn't consider that. You're
Yeah.
probably right, especially with regards to Tap. I didn't know that was. I mean, you have to give them a break though because they've just launched like a week ago or something. So, the fact that they have 1 million TVL, yeah,
Mm,
that's not no surprise to me. Like a lot of protocols started with almost nothing in the
mm,
beginning. So yeah, but yeah, in general, I would say your point is valid.
yeah. Okie dokie. Anything else, or do we want to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up here.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, then a quick reminder, guys and girls, if you have any questions whatsoever, if there's something on your mind, if you want to expand on things you mentioned, we scratched the surface on a lot of things, please feel free to join our Discord. We are open for having a discussion. We're looking forward to meeting you in an e-meet way and maybe someday in person. So yeah, stay safe, guys, and yeah, let's have a great week and yeah, see you next time. Take care.
Yeah, take care, guys. Have an awesome week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.